Hello, the species value nature system. Hello, lost leech. Your name. Now, for example, the president, what he's saying, people, this is a problem we have related to terrorism, related to all kinds of natures of impositions that are unnatural, that need to be reacted to until it need to be understood to overcome. For example, systemic sequence shift justifications, not just in relationship to treatments of our founders and of each science, in the relationship to that, to premise treatment, real fast naive, and means to exploit that, knowing it can ahead of time, that was set up to keep doing that. Each job, even jobs of state, keeping each state in the area in collusion with and as jobs, incapable of countering what they are, investigators, interbranch of every nation, force shared police, force shared with mental health care diagnosis, that completely recorded, systemically forging names for pretending conversations, and then looking for any, like if they could, like for example, they say that the president repeats himself. The president repeats himself because they're sequence shifting and pretending not to realize. Recorded. Per quality of fact, treatment nature needed to prove it, to demonstrate it, because they're not working what is true always and letting exceptions known. And that was his trained per a nature of business with an as the news. That was where it is. You can't let go of it because it's functional to our value, but it was his played by only realized breached justifications of conviction nature, summary convictions, fact treatment nature, sequence substance convictions. Forgiveness was for this republic was taken to a database organized crime method that engineered live progression, cover up roles, and justifications only let realize, not thinking. If they do that, each age of fact treatment nature, there are recorded crime methods to torture people, even the president. See now, Mr. Bannon, a good man, but now he's going to debate. He wants to debate what's not debatable. You see what I'm saying? Not for the reasons they say are not debatable. In other words, a president's trying to work with only what is true, and only in all contexts and noting exceptions. And that's with sequence, and that's where quality of fact treatment nature is not being let because of the nature of the cause to the fake news, which they also won't let reported because they're in collusion with interbranch and with the trade agencies and natures of business here and there and everywhere that can't defend themselves without hiding lies, delusions, premises, without blaming the actual cause of negative value nature progressions on others, and or being indifferent to that. And so as fact treatment nature, perpetually incapable of countering what comes through and what is juxtaposed with and as the value of criminally legalized criminal insidiousness natures. They can't justify that and understand their roles with fact treatment crimes, And then if you try to do this, quality of fact treatment nature, in other words, they don't understand forgiveness. That we have to understand forgiveness for them, but they have to understand forgiveness for us because they're the ones that need the perfection. That's where the breakdown, what failed to show what poverty is caused by, which was laws crazier than witch trials and as the value of colonization that was here before our founders' births, with slavery in the north, with slavery in the south, consciously against white people, but forcing them to have it on paper against black people, and then physical to the eyes. because they're cultivating fact treatment nature roles. Everyone as a like if they put a person that you hear about how they steal people and put them in the houses and keep them for years and stuff like that. But you're brainwashed somewhat. You know what I'm saying? That's why there are three narratives, with the Old Testament and the first with Cipher. Because only with that connected to it, that conversation, can other be explained. I mean, the rest of the Old Testament, the rest of the Quran, the first part of the Quran about the Old Testament are not about debatable things. And where and how they appear to be, science has an obligation to show how it's not, because it's in relationship to life's value, which is the predicate's value in English. What is that? Is also positive relationship to itself as a progression. The progressions has only a value because of its relationship to coordinated relationship to the finite and active value. Progressive value. It's 3 pluses. These are manifest not only with physical value, right to left, left to right, mid, but metaphysically, with the Trinity, is in diffusion through itself, it's in diffusion to an extent of itself that stays perfect progression, but still only an extent of itself. The greater part of itself, one inherent nature of the complete identity of space, is before temporary space nature, temporary lasting space. It is forever nature coming through us, but it's also temporary at the same time. That's what the body's for. And it's also showing all ways how through itself, inherent volume and the active and progressive volume are connected by an identity as the progression. And it's trapped in a negative value nature progression. Because identities are all now, as fact treatment nature, only capable of telling through sides. Only entertained as fact treatment nature, that defending that can't defend what was the speaking through sides. The ancients understood that we have control. We have semi-control over areas, states, and nation sciences. But in the end, they realized when the original internation science, we have no control over internation sciences. And internation is either going to cause positive or negative value nature progressions per one system, which the ancient snow people are about, and which ratiocination is about, which is correlations means, to discern this Trinity, connected as value with the finite and the active in its progressive value simultaneously within that as thought. See, now if someone starts taking a line of reasoning other, and they're entertaining, and see, now they have to defend that. You see, now you're starting a fight with the president. Even if you're you could be. It's not about. In other words, you don't put. It's about quality fact treatment nature. Now you're talking about debatable where it's not debatable. You're degrading the fact treatment nature of the president, and it's a relationship because you're entertaining opinions that are criminally foreign influenced, with young opinions and all together now as the private with the newspapers, with their relationships to private police, with areas, with relationship, and they say, oh, experience, they know what it is. Those networks between the police forms and ways of dealing with databases were not criminally measured and exploited. They're faking things recorded. And what has to do that? And then when they're bringing they're keeping the investigations manifest to keep reactions manifest that are staying exploited against each age of fact treatment. Perfectly set up to have people right there with the deeds, agenda, and nature to do that. Trained, because that's on charge with the sciences at the same time. We have the Trinity and it in a negative value nature progression, and that maintained by what is the archetypal breaching crime, which is intonation fluent, specifically to keep fact treatment nature for what they use color for. Way worse than witch trials against everyone. Why our founders had to leave was to their own fact treatment nature slavery, entrenched with the crazy, still locked with the black and white. They knew that wouldn't be able to free us, free speech. They knew that they're just going to bring courts and make things in time and everyone blame it on other as a process to keep everyone psycho, brainwashed. You know, see, they have to. That's what they're doing with the witch trials. I meant to say not shock and awe, but that's everything. We don't have one modern nation that's not going to be tricked into this and then entertaining it. I meant to say radical. Jesus Christ is about radical correlation. Religion, the Constitution is about radical correlation. It's about a body of value inherent to value. As the cause, as the value, that is simultaneous value as the progressive value. As the cause, it's going to cause positive value nature evolution. Or it's going to cause it away from here as the same value. As an identity of value, of nature, that is pushed away or stayed. Because it's only going to stay progressive. Why would it be here then to go? Because it's just a phenomenon of the relationship between the inherent nature of volume that won't mix with temporary space nature. Even though there's its own nature does anyways. But only this way. And from our perspective, it is a perfect progression of the value of the identity that has of a nature of volume before, actively juxtaposed with matter and progressive matter. It is made by its active and its progression with and as the value of the inherent volume also progressing in relationship to the one that they're wrapped by. Allah's name was revealed to teach this. And this is what is revealed. Most logical. It's not, even if this was wrong about what the ancients thought, this is way more. This is what will come to. The internet. Legion. Yeah, you're told. So, Mr. Bannon needs to know how to make words. Not because he's not smart. Because everyone's smartness is wisdom, and wisdom is into a value nature system that was tactically, not just tactically ulterior from Space Nature's Act 1, but tactically, not just tactically ulterior from it, but from a denatured relationship to nature. Not just from a tactically denatured relationship to nature, but to play this and to have it stayed play, to have it stayed internation maintained with and as vast means to keep fact treatment nature manifest like it is, with the same things manifest simultaneously interstate and originally internation, criminally foreign influence, like with our American history, some are convictions. Then those, like with passions, pseudo-positive, criminal insidiousness nature takes on senses, convictions takes on glorification of American history like that, simultaneously with the that's set up with the narratives of American history treatments. So, in other words, fake science, pretend there's a difference through contrast. Because Santa Claus is about this. St. Nicholas is about how they put him in jail, how they put innocent people in jail, how they just write other in databases. That's what they were doing with slavery, but not just against black people. They're against everybody, and that's not black. In other words, so now we just get beat, so we just start saying, now we're looking to talk about the radical correlation. What is true only always. But see, this isn't entertained now, because now everyone's forced to, you don't know what you're talking about if you're not talking about black or white, because that's what the conversation is, because it's unhealed. So that's the conversation forced by the radical's relationship to itself. That's when you see people stacking other nations and ours at the same time, because our fact treatment age, we're stuck like this in a progression, tactically denatured relationship to nature. That's means. So the means can only come through what is perpetually fact treatment nature means to itself. So they have terrorism. Their fluent means to it, the same way they have fluent means to the same manifest problems with gangs. And with everyone's fact treatment nature in relationship to American history, they're always blaming what was real, what are real areas and positions. Database crime rolls, illusion stacking crime rolls that no one has any means to counter or even awareness of, because they're stacking databases, illusions, and doing it with rackets on off campuses, and with as the only realized conjunctions to campuses, and with as how that is forced internation police here, and they can't talk about that, but that's why they are directed to do that through what was inclusion originally instilled, and then it knows that no one else is capable of countering that. In other words, people breaking the law, interbranch family members and foreign ones, and all that juxtaposed with them, and with overt criminal enterprise as well areas, while other legalized criminal enterprise nations all sharing policing, undercover and stuff like that, and rules to it. That way you can't defend that and us at the same time, because they're going to need to cover live progressions personally. Misprision, grouped and top down. They're going to need to hurt each age of fact treatment age. They're going to need to hurt women as women, per database bracket, per method, like with CCSU. They have a bunch of investigators tied to Wethersfield crime rolls with databases, all kinds of crime rolls growing up. And they sought people out to make confessions and demonstrations and recorded crime rolls with database illusion stacking, witness crimes, with crimes of people in courts worse than interstate, but with proven and further recorded criminally being hid and pretended not realized and forgot sequence shifts in courts, and evidences crimes and rules crimes. And the rules crimes are coupled with in court and online sexual harassment right through the only realized investigators. Further roles and motivations recorded and confessed with it on off campuses since 2001 and since I was a kid, tied to the same people that don't, but not them not knowing the others. Every year of my life, confessions and demonstrations of roles of federal crimes from strangers, asking for help from me, men, women, but then they just write other in databases. They direct people to pretend they have restraining orders against themselves for tricks, and so they can pretend they didn't know things that are coming up in cases, in investigations, because that's how it was set up. So, like CCSU and houses next to it, and recorded and confessed with crimes with houses next to Trinity College, and businesses next to them, and on off campuses, with interbranch police through time, with MP families, shipping police families, all juxtaposed to recorded database crimes. And they don't put anything in writing because they've been just pretending. This is with the internation families, like a DeMoro family, and many people with that, and with a Mayano family, and many others recorded and confessed, tied to houses in my area, recorded and confessed, involved with child predators, interbranch since they were kids, being directed to evidence crime roles. Also with agencies and their family members recorded and confessed with all kinds of juxtaposed natures of crime, with police equipment, with evidences, crimes and cases, with body dumping spots tied to this, and to a number of houses in my area, with police and with overt criminal enterprises tied to them. You know, so the FBI, all kinds of different ways, because also tied to federal criminals that my father proved were part of pension thefts and stuff like that. They had a co-defendant with former director of the FBI was their co-defendant in a case that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. They also attached me to fake conversations about that with the Lethe family, with others after them. They're sequence shifting. A Z-Man also recorded and confessed with crimes with courts, with kids, with child sexual predators, with various natures of courts at the same time criminally involved. They call such allegations because they're not looking at the recorded proofs, and they're making mistakes because they know they're rape threats from the police forms. Weathersfield Police and other interbranch police forms were recorded online on Facebook. They lied about the sequences with that. They lied about the rows with that message posted to rape the kids in the campus. That the principal was arrested for something similar like that, and reportedly on the sex offender list now, but also recorded and confessed with confessions before that, tied to untimely deaths that brought up with the rape threats that brought up the child campus. Also with investigators tied to the prisons associated with the guy, and with the court that arrested me first with sequence shifts and evidence fabrications, and after they were already recorded, aware that they have been forging names and switching names and hiding database crimes and area crimes, also tied with and as the rest of the child predators already proven recorded in the past, and now with these further ones with the schools, further recorded and confessed, connected. But then we have CIA and FBI families also recorded and confessed with federal crimes. They also offensively pretended they had conversations with forging names with the Lethe family, with military families, MPO Floyd, a Klavinskas family, through time, stacking database illusions against me, forging names, switching sequences, attaching me to fake conversations about 9/11 Trade Center context and cases in that context, and with federal criminals associated with the drugs, recorded and confessed associated with drug crimes when I was a kid, each campus I went to, with the same people. And most of them, I never even tried. These are people that sought me out. And these are people also juxtaposed with people I don't know, related to the neighbors involved with a Phil Clow, that a Bob Chase associated with a Whiting forensics place. A Phil Clow is also recorded and confessed with drug crime roles and with database collusion stacking roles. When I was a kid, I never had a class with him. Him and other cousins of Ray Clow, his father's name is Ray Clow. I don't know what his grandfather's name is. They also have relatives near where a kid just shot another kid. Down the street from the state judicial branch officer, also recorded and confessed about. Also, a Robert, or no, a Mike Roberts. A handful of times I know him. He's also recorded and confessed involvement with judges of various natures of court, like probate courts. Also, Delfero family. There's like four brothers, four or five brothers associated with it. They sought me out to make confessions. They also associate with them. They pretend things. They did, and then they disappear like a Subby Scalora, associated with the men and women, associated with the rape threats, pretending they know me, like a Carla Greca, recorded and confessed involved with she says the CIA too, which is also recorded and confessed tied to the people with the Trade Center, Ninth Circuit, proven sequence shift from inside the court, which my father had time-stamped this thing on time and proving. That, after proving that led to a 2006 case in a district court in Connecticut. And that was another part of the case that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. That case had crime rolls with court police tied to on CCSU, off CCSU, crime rolls with people from my town interbranched through time. Their database illusion stacking. Their police from intercity have been forging things and writing illusions in the background too. Especially talk. Then they have to hide that from presidents. They hide that. That's why they hid. That's why they directed. That was their motivations to effectively directing a rape threat, a threat against the president. Passion crimes like that makes no sense. Because they were trying to make it look like I knew the people who were talking to me about their threat against the president, which was against President Obama. And then there's no way to tell this because they have the Wethersfield police with other police forms, interbranch recorded, confessed using Facebook to facilitate and to cover up all kinds of natures of crimes and the roles with all kinds of crime methods in cases, making mistakes on purpose, allowing database illusion stacking, switching names, judges switching name sequence, saying things that are one position and then having other people say they have different positions. If you go in there alone, they'll hurt you one way. If you go in there with a family or something like that, they'll hurt you another way. No, they can't. They're confessed and recorded, directed to make confessions and demonstrations about stacking illegal police reports at the same time, and then hiding it. You see what I'm saying? In other words, they're pretending that they have credibility they don't have, and they're pretending they believe that. And that is with courts, with roles, with actual. So then they're making treatments of allegations to leave the conversations off of sequence shifts, off of the actual acts recorded in actual sequence, and they're leaving out all the fake recorded things too. They have police writing the name of police equipment and then putting quotes and pretending it recorded things that it never did. They've been using rackets like that, and with inter-investigations with houses in my area through time, involved with the recorded child sex offenders with the police forms, with FBI forms. They're doctors of the FBI's are also recorded criminally involved. They have physical delusions with psychology when they're going to be forging names like that, playing these games with wire crimes, with everyone plays stupid. So we need a sophistication, a quality of physics. That's true, but we have evidence predators, and they're hiding that with predator rules crimes. Pretend they breaking the rules through times too in conjunction with the sequence shift. This is with private police also recorded and confessed involved with the child predator action, who have long invested police families taken to crime rolls growing up with databases, with their mouths in conjunction with that. Methods of the same old of federal crimes used to maintain inter-nation, criminally foreign influence, fact-cheating nature, exploiting it together. So many ways to, methods to, and shown to that by a breaching organized crime method that left what used this with color, with way worse than witch trials, to keep us worse than divide and conquer, keep everyone pretending they know what divide and conquer means. So each army is leaned on breach science, breach fact treatment nature as tools of a negative value nature progression out of means. Never spoke. There was no legal representation for Hartford, Connecticut, for Wethersfield, Connecticut, for Connecticut. The state judicial branch house is next to it.